The NBA Conference Finals are right around the corner. It'll be starting next week, and we are here to react to everything that's happened in the NBA playoffs so far. The leadoff, we'll get into these two series in the West and in the East. Pistons, Cavaliers on one side, Spurs, Timberwolves on the other side, who will be meeting up with Knicks and the Thunder in the conference finals. But first, take a step back real quickly. The Thunder undefeated in the playoffs, sweeping LeBron, the Lakers. The story coming out that there's a possibility. LeBron, at the very least, is an unrestricted free agent, can do whatever he wants. And there's even rumors circulating that maybe this is it, which I think would be hilarious and amazing. That's what's going to lift him up over other NBA players, is the fact that he is just like, yeah, I'm done. That's it. That would be fantastic. I doubt it very seriously it's going to happen, but
I hope it does.
Thunder belt to ass. Yeah, because I don't want to watch a whole fucking year of you know what we'll have to see. Not that he doesn't deserve praise, but like I just don't.
He's great.
It gets fucking redundant, and you know these media shit just gets redundant. Thunder belt to ass. Lakers kind of a little bit of disarray right now, not knowing what's going on with LeBron. Damn shame about Luka, man. He never did make it back.
Yeah.
You know that got to be disappointing. But a hamstring's a hamstring, dude. Like, there's really nothing telling y'all right now. There really ain't shit you can do about it.
What's worse is that people don't realize that they said it was a grade 2, which is 4 to 6 weeks. But
yeah, grade 2, you're fucked, man. Like,
but from what the reports were, is the reason he hadn't even been on a court running yet, and it's at the 5th or 6th week. We're at the 5th or 6th week mark. So that means it was probably more so closer to a grade 3 based on what the people were saying, the doctors were saying in LA, is that he has not run on the court. He was not putting up shots like that. He was not doing anything. So if we're at the 6th week mark with a grade 2 hamstring strain, and you are not even running yet, or you're not even on the court yet, it probably was not a grade 2, and they might have just put it out as a grade 2 because of the fact they assumed that he would be able to give it a go because it's the playoffs. And Luka has played hurt in the playoffs before. But it is unfortunate. I would have loved to have seen. I still think the Thunder would have beat them in maybe 5 or 6. But, I think, it probably wouldn't be a sweep. But I think Luka gets you a game or two. But the Lakers still, regardless, even with Luka on the floor this season, the Thunder are still undefeated the entire season, including the playoffs against the Lakers. So I don't think he would have made too much more of a difference. But he can get you a game or two, go down swinging. But it is unfortunate about Luka. And, as far as the Lakers concerned with LeBron's situation, if you're not familiar with the LeBron experience, let me explain it to you like this. The LeBron experience is when he wins and he does great things, is because he is the GOAT, is because he's the greatest thing that's ever existed in the history of basketball. When they lose, when they get swept, it becomes, he looked better than the 2-time MVP out there. He looked better than them young guys out there. But what does it matter how you look in a losing effort when you get swept and you lost every game except the last one by 20? Like, what does that matter? So that's the LeBron experience. As a matter of fact, there's reports now coming out that Luka and LeBron don't like each other, that LeBron felt like the Lakers took him for granted, that LeBron could leave and he would take the veteran minimum or the mid-level exception to go join the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Golden State Warriors. So this is the LeBron experience. LeBron coming back to LA would make for a very messy final season. So I think he is going to leave the Lakers, whether he retires outright or just goes somewhere else. I don't think he's coming back to the Lakers now. I keep hearing people say, yo, the Lakers look good and they won 50 games. They won a lot of games last season too, and then they crapped out in the first round against a lower seed. If KD plays without Luka playing in the first round, I believe that there's a chance the Rockets would be, like in position. The Rockets were up, we're down 2-0, and then they had a chance to take game 3, and then they blew a 6-point lead in like 20 seconds. So we saw that a competent team like OKC wipes the floor with the Lakers. I don't know how much you can really work with if they're going to sign Austin Reeves, if they're going to bring LeBron back. LeBron is probably not coming back on a discount for the Lakers, and that is pretty much what's been said, is that he does not want to take a discount to come back to the Lakers, but he would take a discount for Cleveland or Golden State. Whether or not any of these things are true, this is the LeBron experience. This is why I wish he would retire, and I hope he does retire, because the LeBron experience is exhausting to watch because the media will not shut the fuck up about LeBron every single day, no matter what. We could talk about Anthony Edwards having great performances. We could talk about Wemby having great performances. Jalen Brunson leading the Knicks to yet another conference finals, which has not been done since the Patrick Ewing days. Back at least back-to-back conference finals since the Patrick Ewing days, and I don't even know if that it was done then. You can talk about Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston, the Marcus Camby Knicks that made it to the finals and got whooped by the Spurs. Whatever you want to talk about, Jalen Brunson and the Knicks should be the focal point of the conversation right now, as well as the OKC Thunder, because those two are the favorites, I would assume, to make it to the NBA Finals. How does that finals look? I don't know. We'll get to that, obviously, once we get past this next round. When it comes to the experience in the media, what Rich Paul's saying, oh, this is why LeBron's better than Jordan. This is why LeBron's better. Like, this is the experience you get. And that is what's exhausting about this. And for the Lakers, they've dealt with this for 8 going on 9 years if they bring him back. I think the marriage is going to an end. I think sometimes certain things run its course. And I think LeBron in LA has run its course. And bringing him back only stifles the future for Luka, Austin Reeves, and whoever else they try to get. So kudos to the Thunder. The Thunder played I'll be honest, the Thunder didn't. OKC played a poor series. I think they played a poor series, and they still dominated the series and swept it. That's how good they are. And they were missing their second or third best player, depending on who you ask, in J-Dub, Jalen Williams. So the Lakers were missing their best player in Luka. OKC was down a player as well, and yeah, man, like it was a fire, fire moment for the Thunder to pull that game 4 off. Game 4 went off. That was a great ending because it was terrible endings prior to that in the series. And yeah, man, I think whoever plays the Thunder in the next round, I think a lot of people are speculating that it's going to be the Spurs. I kind of feel the same way. And if we get the Spurs versus the Thunder in the conference finals, this is what people think are the real NBA finals. Nobody gives the Pistons or the Cavaliers or even the Knicks a chance at beating OKC or surprisingly even the Spurs. So I hope the Pistons can make a comeback and come back from another deficit. But we said this on previous episodes. The Detroit Pistons at best were a second round team. We didn't really feel that strongly about them making the conference finals like that. And if they did, it would have to be because they got favorable matchups. I thought the Cavs were a favorable matchup. I mean, they started the series 2-0, and it looked like they were the better team. And now, Jalen Duren is not doing his job. He's looking really stiff out there. He's been getting benched. His minutes have gone down every game, so that's been a big focal point for the Pistons and their struggles. Duncan Robinson missed the last game that they played, which that would have been a couple threes, and that could have made the difference. That having a shooter on the floor makes a difference. The Pistons don't have enough shooters; they don't have enough scorers. Their second best player, who throughout the regular season was Jalen Duren, he is not looking like that right now, and Cade is doing his best. I remember, I think last year or the year before last, I said, what happens in Detroit if Cade doesn't get enough help? And does he stay or does he go? And I think with things being the way that they are, I think he's probably going to stay now. But I think you have to make a move. Could Detroit try and go get Giannis? Could Detroit try and go, trade for someone else? Or, would he try to bring in somebody like a veteran like LeBron maybe? The Pistons, I think the Pistons are about to lose game 6. I mean, they're going into Cleveland. Unless we get a generational James Harden stinker, which God knows I want that to happen. I want the game 6 James Harden to show up. We talk about Klay Thompson, game 6 Klay. James Harden, game 6. Go back to 2017, game 6 at home against the San Antonio Spurs that did not have Kawhi Leonard, that did not have some of their best players. They whooped the shit out of James Harden in Houston, and he had a chance to extend the series at home. and he got sent home in the second round. I need one of those stinkers from James Harden. I need a terrible game from James Harden in Game 6 and the Pistons to win, but I'm just not sure that's going to happen because he has Donovan Mitchell, who struggled a little bit, but Donovan Mitchell is a great scorer, and he has been able to score. He can shoot, something that Detroit does not have.
This is a crazy scene, man. We said, in these years past, Knick fans have been behaving in a completely shameful fashion, with no dignity whatsoever. Every single time the Knicks did anything or won a single fucking playoff game. Now, this year, I haven't really seen any of that at all. It's been pretty quiet, actually.
Yeah.
And it looks for all the world that they're gonna go. They're gonna go to the finals. Now, a team like the Cavs, those two guys, Mitchell and Harden, if they get hot at the same time and go on a streak, then anything could happen. That it could be a Mavericks run from a couple of years ago, or any of those teams that you've known from the past who have some elite scorers that they just click at just the right time. So I'm not going to say it's guaranteed, but I feel like if Detroit matches up with the Knicks in the finals, I think that's almost an easy matchup for the Knicks. They just have too many good bodies to throw at Cade. Detroit has no answers outside of him. So I think there's a pretty high, strong chance. And what's crazy too is it feels like it's partially, in large part, due to the development of Karl Anthony Towns as a legit big, as a star player. I mean, he's always been good, but he's really developed into like this is a serious operator now. When before that wasn't the case. 7 feet of disappointment is what Bomani Jones was always looking to call him. Which also is extra tough on the other side when you got Anthony Edwards battling on a bad leg. Both of those teams on the other side too, man. Both the Spurs and the Wolves, they're just stacked. They just got stud player after stud player after stud player on both sides. Young guys, I mean, with Harper on the Spurs, with Shannon on the Wolves.
Absolutely.
Awesome shit both ways. But it looks like, for all the world, it might be the Knicks' time, man.
I agree with you. I think right now the Knicks are the only hope against a OKC repeat, right? Like that's how it feels.
So you don't think the Spurs feel like a hope against the OKC repeat?
I'll tell you why I don't. Because the regular season's different, right? Like the regular season's different. And the Spurs in the regular season, they looked dominant at stretches. But what I think we forget is that OKC has been in the playoffs for the last 3 years. They were number one seed for the last 3 years. They didn't look great last year in the playoffs at all, right? They didn't look great last year in the playoffs, but they were the number one seed for the last 3 years. They lost in 2024 in the second round in a 7-game series, I believe. What ends up, or 6, whatever. What they did last year made them even better. You can let a random game go in February or January, but I don't know how much I trust, Castle, De'Aaron Fox. I don't know how much I trust them, especially against the physical defense of OKC. Wemby is the centerpiece. I think it is a possibility that Wemby and the Spurs beat the Thunder. But the inexperience when it comes to the toughness, we're witnessing it, right? Like the Wolves, as great as the Wolves are, they're outclassed by Spurs from a talent standpoint. Like you said, like Dylan Harper, Castle. We can talk about Keldon Johnson, who stepped into a role as a 6-man. Wemby, De'Aaron Fox has his moments. Harrison Barnes ain't playing no more for the Spurs, but like he's a veteran. He's been there. When you look at the talent there, and you look at the Wolves, Terrence Shannon, great talent. My guy Ayo, Bones Highland, these are guys who are good, but they're fringe good. Like they're on the fringe. Like they're not guys that you could rely on because we haven't seen any of these guys in the playoffs before. And the same thing is kind of, slightly the same with the Spurs because this is the first playoffs for a lot of these guys. And let's say Ant Edwards can push this to a game seven, right? If the Wolves go to a game seven and Ant can muster up enough, because I think everybody expected the Spurs to win game five because I think the way that this series has gone, it's literally been one win, one win, one win, one win, one win. So the Wolves are going home, Ant is healthy. I believe the Wolves are going to push it to a game seven. I think even if the Spurs make it, OKC has had two very easy series in a lot of rest, where the Spurs, Wemby being the centerpiece, are not used to playing this late into the season. This matters too. Like this is the stuff that matters. Your body is not used to playing. If you play 82 games in a regular season, here you're into game 93, 94, 95, 96. Then you go to the Western Conference Finals, you got to play game 97, 98, 99, 100. Some people are not going to be able to mentally continue on the same path and do that. And I think with these young guys, these guys on the Spurs are great, but there is still a chance that the Wolves could win this series because we've seen Anthony Edwards come back and fight. He was down 3-2 against the Denver Nuggets. And what happened? And against Jokic. And I think the Denver Nuggets on paper were a better team than the Spurs, and they had more experience. They were defending champions, I believe, or had been defending champions the year before, whatever it was. I think that alone is what worries me for the Spurs going forward because if Anthony Edwards and the Wolves can push into a game six, and Ant Edwards is not going out like a sucker. He's not going out like that. He's going to go out there and shoot 30 shots and try to get you 40, 50 and carry them to a win. Whether or not that matters or whether it leads to a win, if somehow the Wolves are able to come back from this 3-2 deficit, they're getting destroyed by OKC. I think the Spurs can take them to 5 to 6 games, maybe 7 games. But I just think the experience of OKC, also the return of Jalen Williams, who should be back for Western Conference Finals, and also the role players. AJ Mitchell right now is balling for OKC. He was not balling this way in December or January. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't. This is the new development. So they've added another guy who they can depend on in the absence. Cason Wallace was balling in Jalen Williams' absence. He was balling in SGA's absence. I don't think it's going to be an easy series for OKC against the Spurs. I just think they'll do enough, and home court advantage might actually come into play because the Spurs, as we've seen against the Wolves, they have their struggles on the road a little bit. Like I said, I think the Knicks would be the only thing that really stands in the way of OKC, and I don't necessarily feel like the Knicks are a better team. But what I do think the Knicks have is more versatility than other teams. Mikal Bridges is not great, but when he's on, he's a good two-way player. OG Anunoby is a beast, and I think he is the centerpiece. Josh Hart is the soul of the team. Jalen Brunson, we talked about Karl Anthony Towns. This is these are 5 guys who you can put on the floor. And that's not even talking about Deuce McBride going to like Mitchell Robinson, the other pieces they can put on the floor. But when you go to those main 5 guys that they have that are kind of the centerpiece of the Knicks, I think there's no better 5 in the league than the Knicks. I mean, on the Eastern Conference side, there's no better Eastern Conference team with those 5 than the Knicks right now. And the second best 5 that they have in the league right now is probably the Cavs in the Eastern Conference. So I think the Knicks and the Cavs meeting in the conference finals makes the most sense. I don't feel like the Spurs are going to be the team that knocks off the Thunder this year in the playoffs. But next year, I think the Spurs are going to be the number 1 seed. I think they're going to be the number 1 seed, and I think they could win it all next year. But it all comes down to health too. If Wemby were to go down or he just had like a minor injury, it's pretty much over for the Spurs. So that's the most important piece. If Wemby can stay healthy, I don't think OKC is the only team that can beat them. But then again, The Knicks beat the Spurs too in the in-season tournament for the in-season title game. So the Spurs can be beat, but you know, I just don't feel like they're gonna make it past the Western Conference Finals if they get there, and that has nothing to do with Wemby's like lack of whatever. It's just he hasn't been there yet, and usually for most players, in order to get to that point, you have to suffer that soul crushing loss. Um, and I think OKC would be the team to do that. And people complain about the refs and all stuff like that. Wemby don't get a lot of calls. So if OKC is getting calls in the playoffs that people are complaining about, which I think is bullshit anyway, that people are complaining about it. But if OKC gets their whistle, the whistle they usually get, I don't think anybody's beating them except the Knicks because Jalen Brunson also does a lot of ref baiting and foul baiting too. Whereas Wemby and nobody on the Spurs, they don't really do that. So, we talk about ethical hoops. People talk about ethical hoops. Ethical Hoops is not really necessarily winning right now. So, I mean, James Harden is about to be in the goddamn Eastern Conference Finals. So clearly, Ethical Hoops is not winning right now. I think, and I hope I'm wrong, actually, because I would love to see Wemby kind of defy all the odds and winning his first playoffs. I mean, how many times have we seen that done before? I mean, you don't see that done very often for somebody to win in their first playoff, their first finals trip. It's such a rare thing for people to people to have that. So,
you mentioned doomed, so I guess we'll close on the news that Steve Kerr is returning after it looked like it was over. It looked like for a couple of days he was gone, but it looks like he's returning to coach the Warriors. You speculated on the possibility, or others speculated on the possibility of an old man tour, Olympic team reunion. Maybe find a way to get KD out there too.
Yeah.
Maybe LeBron comes over there. We'll see. Steve Kerr back with the Warriors.
So let me say this. Here's what I think Golden State's plan is, and this is why I think Steve Kerr came back. I told somebody Steve Kerr was never going to leave the Golden State Warriors. It was never truly going to happen. The story is being planted that he had 3 weeks of conversation with Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy. He talked to Steph. He talked to Draymond. He talked to. This is their last dance. But if you notice, when he did that at the end of the game against the Phoenix Suns, when they knew they were losing, Steve Kerr, it's been reported that when they won the game in the play-in against the Clippers, is when he decided, yeah, I think I might want to stay. Kawhi Leonard went out there and said, Draymond locked me up. I couldn't even get shots up. When has Kawhi Leonard ever said that in his career? When has he ever said that? Right? The Los Angeles Clippers now own the 5th pick in the NBA draft. The Golden State Warriors have the 11th pick. What you're about to see is the Los Angeles Clippers. Steve Ballmer is talking about he wants to extend Kawhi. Kawhi doesn't want to be there because you got Darius Garland, you got the 5th pick, you got Benedict Mathurin, you have Isaiah Jackson, you have a lot of younger guys on the team. This team is going in a different direction and they don't want to compete. The Clippers are not going to try to compete. Let's be clear. Clippers are not trying to compete next season. The Clippers are not going to compete. I fully believe this has been a long coup for the Golden State Warriors to acquire Kawhi Leonard on the backs of Jimmy Butler's contract, which is $55 million. Kawhi's contract is like $52, $53 million. You're going to see Kawhi Leonard traded to the Golden State Warriors because he wants to stay in California, but he probably does not want to play with the Clippers anymore, especially with all the investigations and all that crap. He's going to join the Golden State Warriors, and Draymond Green is going to opt out of his player option, which is $27 million, and he's going to extend for like a 2-year, $22 million deal, which is a $16 million pay cut to stay with the Golden State Warriors, which then opens up enough money for them to not only extend or re-sign if they want Kristaps Porzingis and could possibly keep the Anthony Melton. You can also have anywhere from 10 to 15 million to sign another free agent, which then you could do several things here. If LeBron James decides he wants to play with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, two people he considers very close friends in the league, That allows LeBron James to take a massive pay cut, which he said, which it's been reported he would take a massive pay cut for another team, but not the Lakers. LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Stephen Curry, Kristaps Porzingis, Draymond Green, DeAnthony Melton. Then you still have Brandon Projeski, who might get traded for like another piece. I know it sounds impossible, and it probably is impossible because Golden State sucks. The front office sucks. But Steve Kerr would not be coming back unless they had some type of plan in place. And I believe Kawhi Leonard, even though the insiders are saying it's a small chance, Steve Kerr is not returning without some type of semblance of a plan to get a star or at least acquire somebody, or somebody already said they want to come, or they have a private deal. And we know the Clippers are known for their private deals that could get them in trouble. So I think this is going to probably be what's going to happen. I think Kawhi Leonard is going to be a Golden State Warrior next year, and I think Jimmy Butler is going to get bought out by Steve Ballmer and the Clippers. And around like October, November, he's going to sign back with the Warriors. Once the this whole whatever goes through, I think that's going to happen. And I think they're going to also find other pieces to bring in for this last dance, and they're going to try to give Steph the best chance. Steve Kerr coming back could spell completely the end of Golden State, but I just don't think he comes back after 3 weeks of meeting, like 3 weeks of meetings, if they don't have a plan in place to acquire another star. I don't think he signs for 2 years if they were just doing a last dance. This is it. We got two chances to win. We're going to swing on either a Giannis or a Kawhi and a LeBron. They're not only doing just one star player and that's it. They're aiming for a star player and a secondary guy they can get for that 10 to 15 million that's going to be freed up. That could be LeBron at his age, or that could be somebody in their 20s or their early 30s who is a serviceable role player, or a guy who can be the three or play the three and be good. But they also still have Guy Santos, who had a really good season, who is on a very good budget contract. There's a lot of things people are missing about the Warriors, and I'm not saying this as a fan of the Warriors or Steph or whatever. I'm saying it as watching basketball and seeing that they can compete. They had a winning record before Jimmy Butler went down, for Steph went down. They were winning games. It's just they don't take the regular season as serious because they think they can just turn it on and be playoff. And we saw they can turn it on in the play in. But you need your Porzingis to be healthy if you're going to keep him, which I think they want to keep him. And I think Steve Kerr coming back means they're probably going to keep Porzingis, but on a cheaper deal. Porzingis is making 31 million. I think they'll probably get him they'll offer him like 15 to 17 million a year. They got his bird rights, so if he takes that 15 to 17 million for 1 year thing, he has a chance to play himself into a better contract. He likes playing with Steph. We'll see if it works out in terms of spacing. If you put a Kawhi Leonard, you put a even a Giannis on there, or you put a LeBron, that's giving you guys who can score, and that's what they need. Warriors need more scores. The defense is going to work itself out. I would also look for Andre Iguodala, or maybe some other key guys who might be interested in joining as a assistant coach or some type of advisor to the team. They're going to try to ramp this up 1,000% for Steph in his final 2 seasons or final 3 seasons with the Golden State Warriors, because he's only playing he's playing about 20 seasons and he's in year 18. So that's the Warriors situation. I think the doom and gloom about it is like, oh my God, we'd be so much better without him. But do you really think Steph Curry wants to learn a whole new system in year 18? Do you really think he wants to learn how to play basketball? Like he doesn't have to, but do you think any star player that's been with the same organization wants to completely change everything with a new coach, have to relearn this and learn this? Like, no, that's not happening. So Steve Kerr, I'm a very big critic of Steve Kerr, but I think if he knows he's going out in these last 2 years now, I think you're going to see something different. I think he was ready to retire, and then something gave him the fire. And this is Phil Jackson, and this is Phil Jackson and Kobe, '08, '09, 2010 vibes. Can they win like that? I don't know. That's a lot older. Steve Kerr's not Phil Jackson, but I think in the grand scheme of how they're viewing the last 2 years, it's like, let's go get another championship. We got two swings at it. Let's try to get one here. Let's try to get two championships if we can. Are they going to do that? It's really hard to win without building like OKC, and I don't think the Warriors, no matter who they get, You can get Kawhi, you can get LeBron, you can get KD, you can get all three of them. I still don't think you'd be OKC because like these are great performers, but they're old men. They're old men. You ain't stopping a 27-year-old at 42. You just not. You can do that with Sengun and Amin Thompson, but you're not doing that with SGA and Chet and all these guys. You're not doing that. So I don't think it'll make much of a difference. But I do feel like if they get the guys that are on their radar, and I have talked to people that are involved in like some Warriors based stuff, and they say these are the people on their radar. A couple of upcoming free agents that are currently playing, right now, that they're looking at. So there's some guys they're looking at. They want to add some wings, some wing depth, and they didn't have any wings. And Guy Santos is going to play a big role. He's probably going to be their sixth or seventh man off the bench, if not a starter, depending on where they are. So there's a lot of stuff in play for the Warriors right now, and they're swinging big for the fences because Joe Lacob has pretty much been given an ultimatum by his superstars and his superstar and his coach. Get us a roster that we feel like we can win with, and we'll go out there and win like we did in 2022. And this is the last dance. These last 2 years, this is it. So, yeah, man, I am not a Steve Kerr fan, but I think it needs to be said, and it needed to be addressed that the Golden State Warriors are feverishly working, even right now as we speak, on trying to find a perfect trade. And I think the Clippers are going to deal. I really think the Clippers are going to deal because Golden State has draft capital. Kawhi doesn't want to play in Miami. Kawhi doesn't want to play in Milwaukee. Kawhi doesn't want to play. You know what I mean? Like Kawhi doesn't want to play that. He wants to play in California. He'd rather play in LA, but he's not going to go be a Laker. So you got to do the math on that. And I don't think he wants to stay with the Clippers. So I've been saying it for a little while now. I think Steph and Kawhi is the next move. I think that's what's going to happen. If it doesn't, the Clippers just balked on it and didn't do it. But I think behind the scenes, behind closed doors, they are currently working on that in some way, shape, or form. That's why Steve Kerr came back. Otherwise, Steve Kerr wouldn't have came back. Steve Kerr is not coming back to wait for Jimmy Butler to return in February. That just doesn't make sense. Steph Curry would have asked for a trade if they didn't give him a solid that they're going to trade Jimmy. And Jimmy ain't talking right now in the media. Ever since the play-in ended, Jimmy's been very quiet because he knows I'm injured. My salary is almost $60 million. They have to get rid of me. And being on an aspiring contract, it makes all the sense in the world. If LeBron James joins the Warriors, you will never hear me talk about the Warriors again. I will say that. I do not have anything to say. If LeBron joins the Warriors, I don't got shit to say. Nothing to say.
Well, that'll be the day. Good luck to the Warriors. Good luck to everybody still competing in the NBA playoffs. Really good draft class coming up, too. Very interesting things going on over there. Hometown, baby, DC. They got the number one pick. Going to be a great draft class. All that, so much more coming up. We'll be back on the media tip next week. Some Mortal Kombat to discuss. All that and so much more. This is DAR Sports Media, and the world of DAR never stops.